No, that's okay.
Okay.
Good evening and good morning, everyone. Welcome to another presentation. Today we have Simin Ho, who will be presenting. She was born in Hong Kong and now based in New York City. She's an associate professor of ceramics at Queen's College, CUNY. She holds an MFA from Louisiana State University, a BFA from Nova Scotia College of Art and Design, and High Diploma from Sheridan College. In 1996, she became the first NSCAD student to study at Jingdezhen Ceramic Institute in China, who has taught and exhibited internationally, including at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Harvard University, and in cities across Canada, Hong Kong, and Jingdezhen. Her teaching experience spans institutions like Emily Carr, Alberta College of Art, Concordia, and Southeastern Louisiana University. She has received multiple honors, including the San Angelo Ceramic Competition, Merit Award, and grants from Canada Council for Arts and PSCCUNY. Over to you, Ms. Ho.
Yes.
So you can start your presentation now.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Good evening of ICAF members. Today is my honor here to do my presentation and about my creations as well as my journey being an artist in ceramics. So I'm going to do the slideshows and this is going to be a slideshow of from the beginning. So if you have any questions, you can just shout out and ask me to stop, and because I don't see you on my screen. Okay.
Sorry, Sinying, I just want to, maybe we can do question answer like we can do in the end.
Okay.
Is that okay?
All right.
And,
okay, sure.
And thank you for doing this presentation for members and between your in your busy times. So, and welcome.
Okay. So
Yeah,
the presentation is about 1 hour, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start. So today my topic is about collisions and harmony, narrative in porcelain. The place is Jingdezhen, and the technique that I'm going to, and the history I'll talk about is QingHua, and it's also named as blue and white. And also Longchuan is the place in China, which very famous in Celadon, and the green glaze. And they all both have a long history and export trade to Europe, South America, and Southeast Asia. And so here I'm going to talk about, and my name is Ying Ho. I also have an English name called Cassandra, and I will explain a little more further about my name, that how I incorporate into my work. So I'm going to show you a short video.
艺术家何善颖生于香港，为着梦想远涉重洋奔赴加拿大，渴望成为一名演员，却又发现人在异乡，语言、文化和传统习俗的诸多差异，都成为了通向成功的重重阻碍。是陶瓷艺术唤起了他内心深埋已久的情愫。何善颖现居纽约，今天的他已然跻身于杰出陶艺家之列，却仍然情根不辍。 过去与现在的交融碰撞。传统渊源与流行文化，古代器皿与立体雕刻，表面装饰与内在概念，种种尖锐对峙的矛盾，却成为他蓬勃兴旺的创作源泉。汇合点，梦想成真，以最出乎意料的方式。
Hello. So sorry about it was a Chinese version, and I do have English versions, but I think that when I do the PPT, I'm kind of misplace it. Just a short concluded with the video, which is talking about that I immigrated to New York and how my works change, and as an immigrant, as a diaspora in New York. And originally, I was the actress in Hong Kong, as you see on the video. And then in 1992, I immigrated from Hong Kong to Canada. So you can see about the slides on the right-hand side, left-hand side is Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a metropolitan city, British colony when I grew up in Hong Kong. So my culture was living in between the East and the West. And so when I moved to Canada, and I have to change my career, and but I see a hope that there's an art show, outdoor show at the Toronto Nathan Phillips Square, and artists are showing their work to making a living. And then I say to myself, oh, maybe this is the way that I should go. Because in Hong Kong, I already started to do ceramics in pottery workshop as a leisure class. After my rehearsal, I go to the studio and learn ceramics. Okay, oops. Okay, so looks nice. So my background is very important to me to inspire my work. My name in Chinese is Cantonese, is Ho Xin Ying. But then Hong Kong is a British colony. So when British come in to rule Hong Kong, then they change the systems. So they translate my name into Xin Ying Ho, or you can pronounce the last name first, Ho Xin Ying. But I also has an English name called Cassandra. When I was in high school, grade 10 and 11, then the school was require us to have an English name. So I have my English name. I pick up my own myself. So my English name is Alice. But then in my in my classroom, I have about 4 or 5 students named Alex. So that it was really inconvenient. And I pick up the name because Alice Wonderland, it's my favorite book when I in my teenagers. So when we have a lot of students, 4 students in the classroom, it's called Alice. So then I go home and I ask my sister to pick up the name for me, and she picked up the name Cassandra for me. Cassandra was the name that I have been recorded on my ID card in Hong Kong. So the people in Hong Kong call me Cassandra. They don't call me Xin Ying Ho. But then after I moved to Canada, I realized Xin Ying Ho is much more meaningful for me to represent the history of the time that Hong Kong was ruled by the British. So when I identify myself in North America, I use Xin Ying Ho. So in Hong Kong, I was the actress. So I never really forgot that part of my career. and I still wanted to perform. So when I was after I immigrated to Canada, and I went to Sherland College, and then I transferred to Nova Scotia College of Art and Design. And that time it was 1995, almost quite a long ago, 30 years ago. I already doing like a gallery kind of theater and studio kind of practice with my ceramic work. So I choreographed the dance movement. Then I collaborated with the artists. And the title of the show is called Rise, the Grain of Truth, which is about the tribal identity. So then on the side, I also doing a pottery, and then I wasn't really sure what I'm doing, but I think that making ceramics would be my life career. So during my studies in undergraduate in Nova Scotia College of Art and Design, I met my mentor, Walter Ostrom, and his wife, Ying. At that time, Walter Ostrom was an honorable professor invited by Jingdezhen Ceramic University to go over there to teach. So I know if I went with my mentor, Walter Ostrom, I would learn a lot through his connection. And so I knocked on the door and asked Walter Ostrom, I would like to come with you. I can translate for you because I know Mandarin. And then he was not really convinced because he has already have a translator ready for him. But then I was continuous to begging him that I would able to do the good job for him. So that's my first time in 1996. I went to China. At that time, the Jingdezhen Ceramic University was under construction, and you can see the window is wide open. And we were working in the summer, working in the winter. There's no any kind of good condition for working. But one thing I learned very, very dearly is and in depth is to do the QingHua painting, which is in Western world they call it blue and white. So you can see the table with the blue and white pieces, and then the slide on the right hand side. I am using a pouncing, which is the most traditional way of transfer images on a greenware. So when I'm learning about this technique, I compare with the teaching and learning mode in Western university, which is really completely different. In the Western university, I have to mix everything myself, from mixing clay to mixing glazes. But then when I'm learning back then in 1990s, and then the Jingdezhen Ceramic University, the teacher is actually order from the greenware. Greenware, it means that they never fried before, and they're dry, bone dry. So they ordered this pillow form from the factory. So the whole morning for 1 month, we were just painting, painting, painting every morning. So that I learned how to do the QingHua by copying from my teachers. So this actually a foundation for my techniques that I learned from Jingdezhen. When I went to graduate school in Louisiana State University, I come across difficulties of my English. So then the school, because all the English, second English as a second language, they do have to do a test to make sure that they can communicate. And at that time, being a graduate students, we can actually can teach as assistants in a university. But after the test, and then they the result given to me is like I needed to do the English class in undergraduate 101. And for me, it's really discouraging and insulting because in Hong Kong, when I was in theater, I already performed on stage with English. And then my husband, now it's my husband, but at that time it's my boyfriend, that we are speaking English every day. And then uh, being English as a second language, we always feel inferior in other country that's speaking English as a first language. So I was really discouraging. So I go to the dean, and then the dean told me about that. This is a politics, and don't worry about it. And you can still do the TA and teaching assistants, but go to take that class as well. And then I thankful about that opportunity. So I went to the English class. What I learned is about multiculturalism. I met a lot of friends from all over the world. But then when I was rejected, and I rejected by the school to be the teaching assistants, then I was really discouraging and upset. But after that, I wanted to find out what language means to our humanity. So I pick up all my efforts, change it to be a positive energy to do my research. So the slides that here on the screen, which is my research about language in Chinese and in English. Chinese is based on a pictorial kind of a system. So you can see that the word to speak, they change from dynasty or the emperor, whose are in the power and change the systems, would change the language for us to use. So language in a community is a means to communicate, is the means to sharing ideas. So it's a mimic form. So when I'm looking at the English, English also has transformed and changes many stages from Latin to influenced by German, and then now is English that we speak. They're all based on the sound system. So then moving on with this language as an idea, then I think about like I can use theater, I can use video and music to discuss and to express the way that how I see language and what the means of language. But I decide to do ceramics to express this idea. So I look up the history of ceramics and it was amazed me. For example, when I'm looking at the Mayan culture on the left-hand side, you can see all the hats design, which is looking at it, it's like a decorations but this is really familiar to the culture of the today Mexico and South America. So when I look into more about this head, they represent different numbers, which is really amazing. Then you can also see on the right-hand side, the Egyptians kind of hieroglyphic, you can see on the images at the back of it. So then I move on to looking at ceramic work in the museum, such as the South American pre-Columbian work, which all this is using this symbol to represent the rituals and recorded their day and the time. When I'm looking in Arabic, that kind of script on the rim of the bow, which is the script to the god. But when you're looking at more detail, it's actually is the writing form of the Middle East. Oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Okay. Okay. Yes. So then I look at the, let's see. Okay, I couldn't find my, is it? Okay, right here. Okay. And then I also looking into the Italian majolica. So some of the majolica, they are actually is a tin glaze base, which is trying to mimic the porcelain white background. And then you can see the patterns drawings from Persians. So then when I'm looking into a Chinese export ware in the 18th century, 17th century, so that was the Orientalisms are really popular at that time. Then the European country wanted to have this Oriental kind of design. So you can see all the rim around here is the Chinese woman. And then in the middle of it is the armor coat of the family, and is that commissioned the Chinese to do it at that time. So after have all these evidence through ceramic history, and I come across a book. It's called Grammar of Ornament, which the writer is Owen Jones in England. He collected all these different design patterns from all over the world. And if you're looking at Renaissance time, which is on your left-hand side, and you can see the Chinese Oriental ornament on the right-hand side. So cultures are very significant about their own design, about the natures, geometry, and symbols. So then it proved to me that the pattern is not just a decoration pattern. They are actually identifying the cultures, identifying the designs and the expressions of the way how we see the world. So then in contemporary art, I look into the artist named Gu Wenda. He's also a Chinese in the mid-80s. He came to United States, New York, and to explore arts. And he used human hair on the left-hand side to make this script writing that is Chinese have it for a long time, and also the pictorial images. Then another artist, his name called Xu Bing. At the same time, he also combined the English and the Chinese, and he carved into in using printmaking method, and then he make this book and make an installation called Heaven Book, which these two artists also come across as with the questions of culture and then language. So with this kind of investigations and research that I have, and then I decided to make my work and title it Collision Course. The exploration of the idea of technology and our place in society in the 21st century has been an ongoing subject in my work. My interest and expertise in this topic derive from my personal experience living in 3 countries and 3 languages. I incorporated computer decal transfer images and painted ornaments on vessel to address observations of the old and the new in terms of communication, language, aesthetics, technology, identity, economy, and power. I use computer language as part of the composition and metaphor to express, describe, and reflect collisions among cultures. So I choose to do porcelain, because porcelain, as it's called in China, they have a double meaning about the name of China as a country, and also the China that you use it on the table as a tableware. So you can see on the right-hand side is a classical form that make it with porcelain. And I choose vessel versus instead of using sculpture figure form, because when I learned ceramics, we talk about the form of the pot has a lip, have a neck, shoulder, belly, and foot, which describe about a human form. So I find it is really fascinating about a vessel, which is represented a human. So I use this to make my version. So I use a classical form of this vessel, and then I painted with complex kind of Chinese motif and European kind of peacock motif, and also with the character of the Chinese character, Fu Lu Shou. Fu is means blessing. Lu is mean officials that you have a good career. And then Shou is longevity. So if you look closest to the piece, on the peacock feather over here, the lines, I not doing the line here is actually my Chinese name, Ho Xin Ying. And here, this little dotted line, it's my English name, Xin Ying Ho. And here is my Chinese name. And over here is my name, Cassandra. So, and I incorporated with my decal transfer, with my passport of Canada and visa in the United States, and then Hong Kong identification card. And then I left one of the open window, which is waiting for another new identity, maybe a global passport. So now you can see the details of it. So this is my Chinese English name, Xin Ying Ho, all around it. So I painted with a fine lined brush that is specialized for cobalt blue painting, QingHua. And this is my Hong Kong permanent identity card. So another piece that I made is called gibberish. I used the mapping form, is one of the classical form in Chinese ceramics for many, many, many thousands of years. So the image that you see on the ornaments, they have banana leaves, pomegranates, lychee, and then peach. Those are representing fertility, longevity, everything a lot, which is mean good. So I use the form, I make my version, I throw on the wheel, and I use a poem. It's from Tang Dynasty. And I also find translation in English, which is more than like 20 different way of translated into English. And I choose the version in here. But then it was also interrupted by computer coding, which is cannot translate it into my computer. And the top and the bottom is the 10010. So here is the details. So this transfer decal coding was a message from my sister who's blessing me for good health. But on the other hand, when that time when I using receive the email, they doesn't have the way to translate it. So they only have this kind of coding which is untranslated. So my question is like, even though now in the technology time, these pieces were made in before where the technology was changing. And then at that time, it was like 2001. So it is a long time ago. So, and then at that time, I think about it, even though we have internet and then what just started, are we really able to understanding and communicating? So this piece, I also borrow a classical form, which is a quarter form. And the Chinese character, he means 大吉, plenty of luck. And this bat's pattern it's also representing blessing. So I make my version, I throw on the wheel, and then here the daiji, the word da, which is big, ji is like luck. So this play is called Plenty of Luck. The little triangle here is the transfer decal with all the international signage. So if you see the details, the luck is English composed into Chinese word. Then the triangle here is the symbol of international signage. It means be careful, don't get close, radiance, and stays away from it, and good luck. So this is where I interpreted that our international symbols and signage is also a part of this language that we can communicate through internationally. So another piece that was inspired by the corporate logo. And when I travel to Spain, I see Coca-Cola. And even though you travel anywhere of the world, you see the logo of Coca-Cola carpeting the city. So at that time, the first phase of the Western capitalist in China is the McDonald's. So this is the McDonald's in Shanghai. So I created my piece using Coca-Cola and McDonald's, and then as a part of the images juxtaposed to lychee, longevity, and the Paragon granites. So I use most of those pieces, the historical pieces, historical form. And then the next phase that I develop my work into meeting places. For this body of work, I demonstrate that visual signs and linguistic symbols are equally important for tracing and recording human history, culture, and geography. I explain linguistic symbols to computer binary codes and the symbols of ornaments as densely painted decoration motifs from old cultures on a classical porcelain vessel to signify the identity of the culture. I use ornaments with their own symbolic meanings from old cultures, as well as recognized icon from Celtic, Egyptian, Greek, Roman, and Chinese culture, as well the construct and reconstruct, painted hybrid porcelain vessel, transform familiar forms into unfamiliar, and unidentified sculpture, illustrating the intercourse of cultures, new and old culture, changing under the influence of technology. Combining hand-painted and digitally printed images creates a contrast of technology. As the world moves towards greater globalization, technology needs people of many nationalities and culture to merge together and evolve into an unknown. I reference my own experience being Asian Chinese, living in North America, and the collisions I have come across. My collision course of cross-cultural experience speak to universal concerns. This marriage of modern and traditional ideas and various clay techniques provokes questions of identity and memory, while paying tribute to one of the finest ceramic traditions, Chinese porcelain. So I decided to think about, I juxtapose and using different images collide together. Then I thought, why I don't collide the form together, as the form is illustrate and represent our human form. So I cut the pieces and recompose it together. It becomes a sculpture. It's look like you know it and not knowing it, and which make a metaphor about myself as a diaspora living in North America. I feel myself is fragmented and connected by a different part of the knowledge and the world that I have. So this piece was using all the images of symbols of Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Chinese language, English language, computer code, as well as 1 and 0, 0 and 1. So this is the second view on the other side. So here is the details, and they become more complex and more kind of collide, but they are meeting together to form a one. So this piece is Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon. And this is the form that I make is the similar way of throwing in pieces on the wheel. I cut it and then put it back together. So this side is the tiger, the other side is the dragon. If you're looking at more of the details, I have the peace signs over here. And the title was borrowed from a movie called Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon, which is from my theater background, I always love movies and play and story. So this storytelling is about Bruce Lee and also Muhammad Ali. In North America, that Bruce Lee was fighting for the civil rights for the Chinese, and then Muhammad Ali is fighting for these African American. But then at that time when I was growing up in Hong Kong, I don't know about these two figures, this icon was have doing so much about the society and for the civil rights. I only know that there are two of them are the athlete. One is doing the Chinese Kung Fu, and then the other one is doing the boxing. So at that time, I don't have TV in Hong Kong. It was in the 1970s, and but they actually imprinted so much the cultures in my brain, in my mind. So now when I'm using these two icon to work this piece, which is much more meaningful about knowing their background and their humanity they're fighting for. So this piece is called Trilogy. It is a piece that which is recording about my teenage grow up until like in the 80s in Hong Kong. So when I was young, that we have to, and we learned the story called Journey to the West, which is where the Monkey King here. And then I kind of juxtaposed and collided with Charlie Brown's and Snoopy, which in the 60s and when I growing up, and one of the cartoon animations that was introduced by my sisters. And then you can also see the E.T. in the 80s, that which the movie that I was influenced from, and also the Hello Kitty. So, which is also talking about the popular cultures that is being raised in my teenagers. So here is the detail. But then I continues to use the cobalt blue to draw these images instead of just using decal transfer. So this piece is called Eve. And Eve is the pieces that are looking into the feminist and female represented in the world. For example, I have Buddha, and people also think about Guan Yin. I think people think that she is a he or he is a she. And then it's kind of be a kind of arguable kind of mystery. And then we also have like the Greek goddess. We have the Chinese woman here. And then we also have the Americans posters that in the 60s and that started with the feminist movement. And then here we're the goddess. And this goddess also have a representation, represented the role of the woman. So this piece is actually a commissions for me to use public arts in one of the hotel nearby Shanghai. So this place that have archaeological sites from a Neolithic time, this culture is called He Dao. And you can see this kind of a wide peak images all over the bottom of it to represent the Neolithic stage of civilization. And then it jump up to blue and white. And then here is the different languages of one world, many people. And then on top is the digital numbers and of stock market. So this piece was installed in the foyer in a hotel. Before I install it, I have to use a Mac 3D Max to design the installation. So this is how it is presented. So, and then I'm moving on to a subject matter called Beyond Borders. Under this precedent time, about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, by the COVID-19, I strongly admitted that we are no longer living in a singularity society or culture. We are connected and with cross borders, not only in a macroscopic world, but also in a microscopic world and the virtual world. I was inspired by the images of the actual coronavirus, 5G cloud, corporate logos, and stock market index chart that I then transferred by digital decal technique. These images of the living virus, consumerism, and the trace of technology create a visual metaphor that expresses the relationship between the never-changing human nature and the continued change of our physical world. And this piece was using that symbols over here and then juxtaposes with Chinese patterns and then Celtic and French and Greek all over around here. And you can see that how I was painting.
Sorry for that. Gauri, kindly make sure your this is getting unmuted. Okay.
Okay, so this is the back side of the piece. And you can see the symbol of logo with the Chinese corn and the 5G symbols, coronavirus, and yeah, and then this piece I put it over here is because of the color. The color was no longer the blue, which is I use a different glaze. The glaze is called Chung Blue. And after the firing, the glaze, the cobalt blue will change into a greenish color. And which for me, working for blue and white for a long time, and then looking at surprise of this glaze, which changed the cobalt into green, and it's looked like a film kind of quality, which I really adore with. And this piece was continuous that I doing it lately, and now is exhibiting in New York. And I also adding on Indian kind of civilizations onto my piece. And there's two books which is I'm really proud of to share with you. So the first book is 2008. It's published. The book is called Utopic Impulses: Contemporary Ceramics Practice. Is an anthology edited by Ruth Chamber and Amy Gogetti and Marisia Perel. And this book is collectively with over 20 articles about the Canadian ceramics, contemporary ceramics. The piece is called Music. As using my theater background, music and play is one of my career, and so I use the Chinese Cantonese opera here. And this images icon is Britney Spears, which now she's no longer popular, but then back in the 2000 and late 90s, and she is really popular. And also the classical music writer Bach. And here is the images that I paint on blue and white with the Cantonese opera score and the Western music score, and I have Chinese and Western musical instruments all around the piece. And then the other book is published in 2023. It's written by Alex Birchmore. And he is the Australian art historian. So this book is called New Export China. So it is translations across time and place in contemporary Chinese porcelain art. So his viewpoint and his lens is on four artists. One is Ah Weiwei. The second one is Lou Jianhua. The third one is Sen. And then the fourth one is myself, Xin Ho, which he is dissecting about the reason and why and how we make porcelain nowadays. And I'm very proud of being in this book because I'm the only one woman there. So the periods to body of work is the size is about table size, size of sculptures, and then I grouped it the third body of work by the presentation of the work that it was made by the size. So Eden, Eden is the work that I started to make in 2000. Actually, this body of work that I doing simultaneously, I didn't kind of separate small and a big, but for presentation, that is easier for us to see the development. So one of the body of work called Eden. Eden is a mythical garden, a place of pristine and natural beauty. Eden is the search for paradise, a mythical place of bliss, delight, and containment. It is the place for reflection, meditation, and a safe heaven from earthly delights. A crash of the real estate market, the stock markets, and the economic collapses in 2008 inspired me to make a life-size vessels depicting universal human nature and the human traits, greed, materialistic desires, hopes, and technological transformation. And this universal human nature and human traits are intrinsic to the concept of this series. The life-size vessel is inspired by the silhouette of the human figure, and each vessel is 6 to 7 feet tall. The size of the vessel produces a visual appearance and is a reference to the human form. I paint the traditional 100 flowers Chinese painting with a cobalt pigment to juxtapose a silhouette of Adam and Eve as reference from Renaissance paintings. Inside the silhouette of Adam and Eve, I use contemporary digital symbols, corporate logos, stock market index charts, and different languages that are then transferred by a digital decal technique. These images of consumerism and the traits of technology create a visual metaphor that express the relationship between never-changing human nature and the continuing change of our physical world. So here is the images to show where my reference from. So this is a reference from Adam and Eve. It's very famous kind of paintings in Italy. And then I also use Chinese old corn, and then I juxtaposed it with the consumerist logo. So here you can see these pieces from the top to the bottom is close to 2 meters tall and 1.7 meter. So the figure here, the silhouette here is Adam, and then here is Eve holding the apple. And this piece is called Temptation, the Life of Goods. So the other idea for this series, I also use the stock market exchange index, and then also this the name of the stock market index. So here is the piece that I composed, and this is Adam. This is Eve over here, with the numbers of the index of stock market, and here is the arrow that is coming down drastically and going up and coming down. And this piece title is titled In the Dream of Hope. So you can see on this side is the green color with this decal is have a Dija here, Dajong, D-J-I-A. And then this green color, I use it to represent Adam. So then in this series, I also using motherboard as the images so that I have the Adam and Eve, and then the butterfly is representing the transformation. So human beings is always going through a transformation stage and the desire of being changed from like Stone Age, Bronze Age, and then digital age, and then now we're going to AI. So you can see that the human form was embedded with the motherboard. The other ideas that are developed with language, which is the sentence of one world, many peoples. So when I do this piece that it's 2010, and then they have only 46 different languages that I can find and translate it from Google. And now I'm sure that it will have more. And but this is what I can do in back then. So this is the taller piece I make, which is about 2 meters high. But before I fire it, this is more than 2 meter tall. And because the shrinkage of the porcelain of Jingdezhen is close to 20%. So you can see that this silhouette is myself, my husband, and my friends, that the pictures that I showed to you. And I talk about like kind of contemplated, even though we have all these tools to make us get closer. But we human beings really understand each other. And so there's some sort of kind of alienations, but they are also connected at the same time. So you can see this series of work that I installed in a courtyard. And I was commissioned to do this in Canada, Burlington Arts Center. And you can see at the end, I have 8 pieces. It's a series that I install in the garden. And then also have some small pieces that I have it in the pond. So these pieces I also exhibiting that in my college, Queen's College. You can see the students and my presidents, which is also here for the opening. As times go by, and then I also doing international exhibitions and Venice Biennale. So I was really lucky in 2022. I was invited to do a Biennale in Venice. The exhibition place is in the island called Lido. It's a private airport that the celebrity fly over and to Italy. And here is the pieces that I exhibiting in the site. And you can see the airport at the back. And then this is my retrospective there. So the gallery that hosts me is New Louvre Gallery. And this is the owner of the gallery. And then in terms of bigger size of a ceramic work, I also make 2 meters tall sculptures. One is called Tilt and Flow. Another one is called Afterglow. So when I make this piece, I try many, many different ways. I try coiling, I try cut and paste, put together. They're all hollow, but it's not successful. And they're very fragile. So I decided to use solid. So I have about 1 ton of clay, and then I put it together and molded it. And you can see that how tall is the pieces because I have to stand on the stool. And then after it was made, then the model is made, then we have to make a mold. And the process that I won't able to show it to you in here because it's just taking too much time. But then I wanted to see that after making the mold, this piece is press mold. So in order to make the piece successful, you have to make this kind of structure inside. And then the structure was so beautiful and it is on the outside. And when I'm making this piece, I have about like a team for me to move around the mold. And then after the piece is made, and this piece is called Tilt and Flow. And it was a little kind of after the firing. And the pieces I was using a matte glaze and then also gold leaves to create that kind of metal, porcelain, and water and metal, that kind of a flow, which is to echo the installation in the hotel close by their water in Hong Kong. So here is the restaurant that have my pieces installed in the entrance, and to echo with the wall with the Chinese kind of resin carving and to mimic jade. And this is a process that when I was painting another piece called Afterglow. So I have Italian motif, Greek, Egypt. This is Greek, and then Turkish, and also Morris, and that I was doing it in Jingdezhen. And this is the process, how I project the images on the piece and painted it and sketch it. So at the end, the pieces is exhibiting right now in Jingdezhen Official Kiln Museum. This official museum is an archaeological museum. They don't show contemporary art. But then this is a really, really special for the project that they wanted to echo about the today ceramics, but also have a historical reference. So this is the piece that I was exhibiting there. So here is the video that talks about this piece.
Wonderful fragment. Fragment is not end of the story. It's actually beginning of another story. The fragment, when it put together, just like as a whole, and in my work, it's a kind of analogy that I put all the fragments together and united as a whole.
This is ancient Jingdezhen,
Okay.
about 150 years ago.
Huh?
And that's a modern Jingdezhen, the modern imperial kingdom.
Yeah.
People having kind of a time traveling.
I see. Yeah. So, and then where's the museum?
So yes, here, this is where we are now.
Okay.
So have a guess.
So the museum was there.
Direction.
It's on the second layer now?
Yeah, over there.
Okay, wow, my goodness.
I know you have the masterpiece here.
Thank you.
I heard your work is also kind of a time travel. How would you describe that?
The time traveling is because I want to use my contemporary lens
Yes.
to look at the past and how it's influenced us. And history is very important for us as a part of our identity and also part of our ideas as artists. I love using history as part of my work. So the time traveling becomes, an avoided kind of ideas.
So, would you like to tell us more about it? Yeah, your work is called Afterglow. Why?
Yeah. Yes. And I'm really excited. One thing is like you arrange for the pieces to put it in this space. Because as an artist, we think about space a lot. And the pieces that kind of stand alone here for people who have a time to contemplate about our past and think about the present. And when I making and design this piece, I'm thinking about the past a lot and how country and travel trade, and particularly that porcelain blue and white were trade from Jingdezhen all the way to Europe, such as in Holland and France, all these places. And ideas is actually was inspired by a shipwreck when the boat kind of sank.
Yeah.
Capture that kind of shipwreck with the pieces under the sea. And ceramics and porcelain has such a powerful, almost like a tablet, that record recording about the history and the past. So you can tell they're not really like every pieces are antique. I kind of make up the antique.
Yes.
And then you can see that the pieces that kind of, some of the pieces kind of passed out. And then reflect into that kind of after, as the title of the piece called Afterglow. That even though the time, like a time capsule, the time is going through and we're looking at the past, you can still see the glory of it.
So that's kind of telling my story that in the cobalt blue QingHua painting, a series in sculptural forms in big and small. And then I also, in 2017, I started to explore the other famous Chinese ceramics, which is called Celadon. And this is the piece that is exhibiting in one of the museum, Liling Museum, and then having celadons and cobalt blue kind of put it as installation. And the images is kind of inspired by the ship in historically how the ship dock along the river and then ship those ceramic pieces to the bigger cities and export it outside to Europe. So you can see those pieces that kind of support the Celadon is the blue and white pieces. And then I also started to use gold and from the small pieces to the big pieces. And then another opportunity for me to explore the Celadon is I also have a possibility to fabricate a roof inspired by a rooftop tiles and then install it into the hotel in Taiwan. So you can see I make about almost 1,500 of these tiles and then explore different glazes in Celadon. They also have from light to dark. And in order to compose the wall piece, and it's like a landscape. So when it's installed, the rain, the water will be dripped down to the roof tiles. And in terms of the Celadon that I 2024, I have opportunity to do an artist residency in Longchuan. So this piece exhibition I call the Past Future. So the exhibition Past Future showcases artworks that incorporate the technique of fragment recombinations imbued with the charm of a regional culture. This porcelain shard originated from Longchuan. Each represents a small piece of the earth, though seemingly insignificant. They starkly contrast with the vastness of the universe. This shard also symbolizes people from all over the world. While they may seem small within the cosmos, they remain equal and essential components of this grand universe. The artwork is deeply influenced by the ancient Chinese philosophical concept of the unity between humanity and nature, which sees all things as interconnected and mutually dependent. The famous saying from the Book of Rites, chapter on the evolution of ritual states, when the great way prevails, the world belongs to all. People choose the virtuous and capable, uphold trust and harmony. This is called Dai Tong, a great unity. This sentiment embodies the ideas of harmoniously coexisting among people, society, and nature. The piece echoes of the galactic bell converts precisely these cosmic visions of Dai Tong, a pursuit of an ideal social state in harmony and unity. It invites viewers to reflect on humanity's place in the universe and the possibility of a symbiotic existence between human beings and the natural world. So when I was in Longchuan, okay, and Longchuan is located southern parts of China, south of Jingdezhen, southeast of Jingdezhen. It's very about 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours ride from Jingdezhen to Longchuan. So you can see that I went to the museum and examined the old porcelain vessels. And here is the museum image. And inside the museum, I saw that they are using gold to repair the pieces. And then one thing was really amazed me is about on the right hand, you can see the clay body is really thin, but then the glaze is kind of 3 times thicker than the clay body. I was amazed at how they're doing it without cracking and breaking. And that is the expertise that in Longchuan. So, and it was also in my research, they has a glaze shops. They all examine about the Celadon glaze. The Celadon glaze is not just only the green, but they also have the sky blue, and they have the pea green. They have the plum green. And to them, the Celadons, or they look at it as like the colors is representing philosophically like a Taoism. When you look at the nature, then the green is so much variable, the variety of the greens in nature. They also have soil, the colors were kind of yellowish, and then the sky, which is here, which is similar to the sky blue Celadon. So that's other, it's all nature around this city. And it's kind of amazed me why these places are so famous with Celadon, and that's what's the nature influence them. So then I make my installations and the past future. So you can see that the pieces I made, because this clay in Longchuan is not easy to make into one piece in it. so that I use 5 pieces and have aluminum steel, stainless steel poles to hold it together. So you can see the different kind of a celadons. They have sky blue, soft blue, and then the green at the back, which is the plum green, and then the yellow, and then they call it gray, but it's kind of dark yellow. And this is a process when I'm making it. There's a factory that make a lot of traditional form. So I order it and take it to the studio, and I cut and paste it to make my model. So each model, after making, I have the plaster mold and I slip cast. You can see that a different clay color, which is also very significant in Longchuan. They have Ge clay, which is elder brother, and then they have D clay, which is a little brother clay, which the shrinkage of the clay and the glaze are not compatible for Ge, for the bigger brother glaze, so that they happening with a crackle glaze. So this is the biggest molded cast piece that I have. And then I use it one clay body like clay body. Then I paint it with D slip, and then some other clay slip here with a different tones of the iron in it. So this is the outcome. So the pieces on the left-hand side is the crackle glaze, and then you can see that the ink kind of enhances the piece. The one on the right-hand side is a plum green, which is the most popular, famous, welcome, adorable kind of a green. And I juxtaposes with contemporary kind of a symbols such as AI, and then also the barcode. In this series installations, I have one place which I using my stage reference, a theater reference, so that the whole gallery is dark, and I projected the galaxy on the wall, and then making this sculpture and like a meteorist kind of stated as a landmark in the cosmos. And then here with the hanging down shot, and the floor, we have some of my pieces shot, and also historical shot. So this is another scene of the piece. The shadow is successfully was put by the projection, and the shot projected onto the wall, and to make it more look like a space that the clay is floating in the space. So here is my some ceramic pieces shot, and the historical back to Song Dynasty, which is 12th century AD. This is the saga with the pieces that are not successfully fired. And then in the archaeological site, it's piling like a mountain. So here is the Longchuan Big Kiln archaeological site, and you can see the shard and the sagas all around. And here's where the shard, we pick it up, and I take it to the studio and clean up. And in the installation, I wanted to include it not just land, not just clay universe, but I also included into a human element in it. So I researched about in Zhejiang province, how the singing opera that they were doing, and then the sound and the music. And then this is the 10 sister playing the most famous yueqi in local regional opera. So here is the video that with the sound, and that included into the installation. And my husband, Philip Reed, is designing this music for me. Okay, and then thank you for your attention to my presentation. And then if you have any questions, please, it's a time for you to ask. So I stop the share, okay? Yes. So I see like 3 chats on the chat. Thank you for Shayanti. She was saying that what a phenomenal trajectory, evolution, and manifestation. Absolutely astounding. Thank you very much. And Angus iPad was saying brilliant. All right. Thank you so much for all your attentions and encouragement with your comment on the chat. Is there any questions, or maybe Faguni can come and host it?
Yeah. So in one of the works, you had mentioned that you use specialized brushes for application of cobalt.
I say it again, about the cobalt.
The specialized brushes that you use for cobalt application?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what?
So the brush is made up of rabbit hair, and then they can hold enough of the pigment, not too much use that the pigment will be spare and float around. It was just enough that that the pigment can float it to the tip of the brush. Then you can use that pigment to draw a fine line, which is take a lot of practice. A lot when I do the demonstrations in my workshops, I encourage a student try, but then if they don't want it to, they want it to just do the way, and it's fine with me as well. Because for me, I was borrowing the historical technique to juxtapose the contemporary transfer decal. So that for me, I have to get that skill for me to paint it and this special brush.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you travel to Jingdezhen, you will able to find this a lot. And Faguni can also bring some back to India for you guys.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Most of the work I think you do is underglaze on raw, as you said, on greenware. Do you also paint overglaze? Because that's something I'm trying, and I find it very difficult doing cobalt painting overglaze, but I'm working on it. So I would love to know a little bit about the technique.
Yeah, good question. I do use on overglazed enamel, and I haven't really shows on the pieces on my presentation. And I do the overglazed enamel is when the pieces is already glazes with glaze. And it's kind of in China, they have different types of overglazed enamel. They have antique color, they have soft color, and then new color, which I use the new color, which is equal to the China paint, the soft color, and then the antique color. I really recommend it if you have a chance to China, learn how to do it, because they are lead base, okay? So that you have to be carefully to use it. But they're very specific with the texture. And so if you are using it in your studio, I think the most easier overglazed enamel is the new color, which is similar to China paint. When I'm in China, I have to, they have an oil base and the mediate, I use oil. The oil is camphor oil. And they have a thick one and they have thin one. They do different things for the pigment. And but then when I'm working in North America, and I use baby oil. And it's not the best because it doesn't get the fine details. And but it's hard to get the oil in United States because it costs about like $200 for camphor oil because they use it for cosmetic in North America. You may have to unmute yourself, Angus. Yeah,
Angus,
Angus,
you're
you have
muted.
to
Can you please
unmute.
unmute? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just said potters are very we always figure out some way to use some substitute or something when we can't afford the expensive materials. It's the story of my life. Almost.
Yes. So I think that this is the things that I'm very interested about doing international travel and also using local clay and also local material. And then even though I learned the technique, when I come back to my own studio, I have to find substitutes.
Yeah. Thank you. Your work is incredible. I'm really impressed, and there's a lot of hard work gone into that beautiful work. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
much.
your joining us for the presentation.
Modern technology. I'm sitting at home and I can listen to this lovely talk and see all your beautiful work. And thank you,
If you
Falguni,
have
for
chance,
organizing
please.
this.
Yeah, and then if you have chance, please come to Jingdezhen and Longchuan. And there's other place in
I
China
dream
too.
of that. Yes, I would like to go. I would definitely do before I get too old to do it. That's for sure.
I
Thank
have
you.
a quick.
Thank you again.
Hi.
Sayonti here. So I wanted to just ask you about the really tall vases that you made, which you said were around 2 meter height. Did you use the same technique for that you used for the afterglow sculptures of building it in the solid and then creating a mold and the inner wall that you had created? Did you use the same technique for that, or was it a different one?
It's a different one. So for the form, which is one piece together like a human form, and then that is thrown. And in Jingdezhen, they have some workshops, a small family, not big factory. They have the kiln to fire these tall pieces. So they can even fire to like 3 meter talls. And they thrown in a section and joined together.
And joined together. Okay.
Yeah, so you can see, if you carefully see, you can see the joint amongst those sections. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I also see Priya here. Hi, Priya. Priya.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Priya.
Hi,
How are
really
you?
nice. I'm well. It is wonderful to hear you speak and see the entire story. I wanted to ask you about how much does your theater, are you also practicing theater besides practicing ceramics?
Correct. Yeah, I didn't do my professional theater anymore in North America because English is my second language, and when I try to remember the lines, it's going to drive me crazy, and I won't be able to sleep. So, but the theater that's affecting my creativity and the way that how I think the work. So lately, I do involve in a theater company in New York, off Broadway, and this company is actually using Cantonese to do the performance. And so actually, last 2 years ago, I do a performance in off Broadway, New York, and then I'm coming up have a performance also in October, and for a role that I play in I really loved it to do it. So yes, I do continuous perform. But I also think that the theater background that helped me for my teaching. So if it's not having that background, I maybe not have a braveness and to speak in front of my students, and even though in front of the presentation.
Anyone has any more questions? If not, then we will close this session here.